our collective gratitude by making a donation in their honor at Anderson
Safe. Never operate an electric appliance next to or in the pool. Be sure pool motors and filters are grounded. Have them installed by a professional and serviced by a licensed professional electrician. Be very careful if there are electric lines above or near a pool, especially if using long-handled cleaning tools. And if a storm is nearby, get out of the water. Your safety matters.
Hi, I'm Steve Thomas for Habitat for Humanity Restore. Habitat Restores are nonprofit home improvement stores and donation centers that sell new and gently used furniture, building materials, and appliances to the public at a fraction of the retail cost. The Ulster County Restore at 406 Route 28 in Kingston needs your donations. Call our hotline at 845-853-7499 to schedule your free pickup. And thanks.
Everyone is talking about healthcare these days. America spends twice that of other developed countries on our healthcare system, yet our health ranks near the bottom. How can we stop spending so much and getting so little? By shifting to a system that gives more patients access to strong primary care. Primary care can help make America healthy again. To learn more about the benefits of primary care, visit www.healthisprimary.org. This message is brought to you by America's Family Physicians.
Screening exams for breast, lung, or colorectal cancers are necessary to detect and treat disease at its earliest, most curable stage. But you may have some concerns and questions. Answer your questions and ease your fears by visiting radiologyinfo.org. In addition to information on screening and wellness, you'll find more than 200 descriptions of radiologic exams, procedures, and treatments to help you prepare. Get informed and be prepared. Visit radiologyinfo.org. Produced by the Radiological Society of North America and the American College of Radiology.
Hi, this is Winnie from the Rosendale Seniors, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio has been brought to you by the First Savings Bank in Ulster County that still remains local to this day. Ulster Savings Bank, a community bank that's invested in local business, invested in community, invested in you. Ulster Savings Bank, your one-stop resource for everything local. Locations throughout the Hudson Valley and online at ulstersavings.com. Member FDIC.
Good morning. Welcome to Thunder Thursday. Ba 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 boom. Flap 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 flash.
I should have had him call in.
I gotta do that because if you're watching on YouTube, I am not sitting next to Tony Marmo today. I'm actually sitting next to Suzanne Timbrook.
Hi, how are you?
Welcome.
I'm happy to be here.
So
it's early.
It is early. It is early. You have your coffee. I have this ritual that I always go get my coffee after the show. I don't know. It's this weird ritual. So I am not drinking coffee. But welcome.
Thank you.
It's August 12th. It's going to be a scorcher. So I think, 91 today?
99. Or at least that's what it says on the National Weather
99.
Service. But,
that's fine with me.
Let's hope they're wrong.
That's fine with me.
So we may get a thunderstorm in there. Hopefully tonight is the Boys and Girls Club boat ride.
Ooh.
So hopefully it doesn't flash and boom on the Boys and Girls Club.
Like it did yesterday,
like
out
it
of
did
nowhere.
Yesterday, yeah.
Yeah.
I was my kids had their annual checkups, and I was in the doctor's office, and all of a sudden you could the doctor and I looked at each other at the same time, and we're like, is that the rain? It was just out of nowhere. So anyway, this is kind of my welcome back show because I've been traveling, I've been away, I've been home. Both my kids play on an AAU team, and so my daughter had a pretty aggressive travel schedule. But as you know, I just came back. We just took a family trip out west, and we did the Mount Rushmore and Yellowstone, and that was fun. But so it's funny. I wanted to share. I've been sharing this story. Everybody has a bucket list, right?
Yep.
So. And we'll get into you because we got a lot of good things to
talk
about.
I want to hear about
this with you.
Listen, this trip because I'm following in your footsteps.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to go out there now because I loved your pictures.
Yeah, it was amazing. Mm-hmm. But so anyway, I have this really, random bucket list, and there have been 3 things on there since I was a little girl. So the first thing is, and they're not things that you would find on other people's lists. They're very peculiar. So the first thing is I've always wanted to stay in this one hotel. And it's the one when you're going down the thruway, and I think it's exit 15. It breaks off Route 17, Route 287. On the left-hand side, there's this huge glass Sheraton on the left-hand side. Do you know the building I'm talking about? I've always wanted to stay in that hotel so I have not checked that off.
Okay. That is the weirdest bucket list I've
it's weird. There's 3 things.
Okay.
So the second thing on my bucket list, which I've checked off twice actually, was I've wanted to go to Mount Rushmore. So when right before my husband and I got married, I changed jobs and I had some time off on vacation. And my dad said, come on, we're going to Sam's Club. We're going to pack the car with junk food and Coca-Cola and Snapple. And we did. And we drove out 30 hours out to Mount Rushmore. Many stops along the way, many stops on the way back. And it's honestly a trip I'll never forget. It was amazing. So I've always had this thing about Mount Rushmore. So my husband and I, we took our kids this week, and it was kind of cool because my husband kind of walked away for a minute, and my kids and I are walking away, and we kind of took a selfie with presidents, and I looked at my kids and I had one of those moments. I said, the last time I was here, I was with my dad, and I said, and I bet the next time you guys come, you'll be with your children. It was kind of a weird moment for me to think about it that way, but so anyway, fast forward, we're flying home. So that's my second bucket list, Mount Rushmore. Okay. Here's my third.
Okay.
So we're flying out of Rapid City Regional Airport, which is probably maybe a little bit bigger than Newburgh.
Okay.
Between Newburgh and Albany size. And at this point, it's been 8 days. We're done. We want to go home. So as we're getting ready to leave for the airport, we get a message that our flight's canceled. Which, not surprised, air traffic has been crazy.
Insane.
Crazy since between the storms and COVID and staffing and pilots, lack of pilots. So we get to the airport, and I'm thinking it's going to be an easy fix. They've booked us on a flight the next day. Again, we just want to get home. So I couldn't, it was United. I couldn't work anything out with them. So I walked up to I think it was Delta counter, and here's my bucket list. I looked at them, and, so rewind. So at this point, we know we're not getting out of Rapid City. And they said, all of our flights here were canceled yesterday. And there's not a ton of flights. So, and now they had a couple of flights canceled this day. So I'm thinking, I'm not hanging around till tomorrow because chances are we might get canceled again. So my thought is, if we could just get into any major airport, like I don't care if I got to fly even further west to San Francisco. You can get a flight San Francisco to New York. Let's just get to a major city.
Get somewhere.
Right.
Where I can get home.
So I walk up to the Delta ticket counter, and I look at the guy, and I said, I would like 4 tickets to anywhere. You pick where we're going. And he just looked at me. And he's like, excuse me? I said, you pick.
You pick.
Anywhere.
Just get where are you going? Right. I'm going, right.
Well, my bucket list was very quickly squashed because every flight to everywhere was completely booked. So I almost got to check that off my bucket list. So instead, we rented a car. And we drove 6 hours to Denver.
Okay.
And we were able to get on a flight that night. So anyway.
Wow.
So only one item. Mount Rushmore is off. I still have to get to that hotel. And I still have to walk into an airport and let the ticket counter guy.
Yeah, I want to do that too.
Yeah.
I want to can I say something about that moment when you were talking about, I'm at Mount Rushmore, and I was here with my dad before. So we had a bucket list. My son, Nick, had a bucket list. He's in the Army. He's my Army boy. And, he always grew up watching, all of the History Channel, all of that stuff, right? So Normandy. He wanted to see the beach at Normandy, right? So in 2018, when I took the whole family, there were like 9 of us, and we flew to Europe and spent the whole summer and that whole thing. On the list from Paris, we were like, we have to get to Normandy. Yeah. So our friends in Paris were like, we'll get you to Normandy. And so a similar thing with you standing there in front of Mount Rushmore, I have this picture, brings tears to my eyes. I have this picture of my son on the edge, just like, over the white cliffs and just staring out to sea, and the look on his face, like I know in his mind, going through all of the History Channel he's watched, all of the war stories, the people, and he's got a friend whose grandfather was there and stormed the beach and told the vivid pictures. Wow. And so for me, that moment of standing there watching him check that off his list, that was like, wow. That was really, it was a very poignant moment.
Almost
those
surreal.
But those are good moments, right?
They are good moments. So let's talk about you. So Suzanne Timbrook. So a lot of times I bring people on this show, and anybody that listens to my show knows kind of the way I fell into this was, I started this group, Concerned Kingston, for local people that have been concerned about the violence, the recent violence, and also people that support law enforcement, because I think, we all know that we're kind of living in this time frame where sometimes, even though the majority of the people truly support first responders and police, I don't necessarily, they're not necessarily feeling it as much as they should. Correct. Because of what's taking over. So throughout this process, I have met a lot of amazing people, and you are one of them. I was looking for, a representative in each ward. Yep. To kind of reach out to their aldermen respectively and talk to them. And it was actually Kyla Thomas, who's a good friend of mine from high school, who said, I know, being in real estate, she knows somebody. She's like, let me pull out my book.
Ward 5. Oh, Timbrook.
Yeah, she's like, Suzanne Timbrook. I was like, all right. So I came to your house. We had tea or whatever. And and the rest is history.
Yep.
So, and then, now you're running for legislator, but we'll get into that. And so I'm proud to help you with that. But so tell me, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into your personal life, and then we'll get into your new political life.
So I guess I've been here in Kingston 30-something years now, but because my husband, Brian, most people know Brian. So I know like everybody.
Firefighter.
Yes, firefighter of the city of Kingston, but born and raised here. His dad, before him, born and raised here. His dad graduated Kingston High School, I think it was 1950, and my husband's a 1982 grad. And I never heard of Kingston before, but I met Brian, through the way, the universe helps you to meet people, right? And when we decided we were going to get married and, settle down and have a family, he's like, we're moving back to Kingston. We've been in Poughkeepsie. He'd moved to Poughkeepsie with
I didn't know that.
Yeah, for a little bit.
Now, Brian is one of how many? Because the Timbrook family is very large.
8.
Oh, okay. 8. Wow. Okay.
8, yeah. One died as an infant, so grew up with 7. There were 7 of them, but there was 8 in the family. So we've been living in Poughkeepsie for a little bit, and he's like, no, we're going to Kingston. And I'm like, why? He's like, it's a great place to be. He's like, we're an interracial marriage, and nobody will bat an eyelash at that in Kingston. We have great sports team, great school, great community. Like, he just couldn't say enough about it. And to be honest, I remember, first visiting Kingston, and I think we were on a downturn for a while back there, and I was like...
No, so what year would this be?
We moved... He and I met in 88, so I was here by 89 or 90.
Okay.
Around there.
Okay. I was a little middle schooler.
Oh. Thank you for reminding me how old I am. But, so I was like, really, Kingston? Okay. And then... we moved here, and it was the right move. I mean, it is a wonder. It has been. It's not the same place at the moment, and I really hope that, and that's part of why I'm running. I want to get back to all of the good things that we were, and let's get rid of the things that have come about that we were not about. Let's get back to the good things. Not that you can't move forward. I'm not saying move backwards.
Change is fine.
Change is wonderful. Right. Change is fine, exciting. But certain things have to not change. And one of the things that has to not change is that sense of community, black, white, in between, that we're all one community. And I'm telling you, literally, that is one of the things that he really drove home to me. He's like, we don't have race issues here. Not that there aren't people who are racist. There was always going to be in the world, but you didn't feel it here. And I can say that our whole time here, until very recently, I've never had anything that made me feel uncomfortable, that we were in an interracial marriage. We had, mixed kids. It was fine. And my kids will tell you, when I asked them going through Kingston schools here their whole lives, has anybody ever made you, treated you in a way that you felt was racist? And they were like, no. I mean, some probably happened, but they not to the point that they were even able to notice it. They're like, no, they love their community. So, really love this community. Made it my own 30-something years ago, and this is my home and where we've raised our kids on purpose. So, when you talk about being a supporter of law enforcement, I think one of the things that I think that people need to hear is that it doesn't mean carte blanche if you are doing something you shouldn't do as an officer, that I'm going to support you blindly.
Right. Correct.
And but the Kingston Police Department has never been anything but stellar in any experience that I have had. And with 6 children of our own, they've had opportunity to meet their police officers. Just listen, they're kids. The 4 of them are boys. You can. What are you kids? What are you doing? You can meet your officers sometimes just because you're living life and you're rambunctious.
Yes. So you're a teacher, right? Talk about that.
Kingston High School. I'm going into my 22nd year there. I taught before then on campus at SUNY Ulster. And I still teach classes for them through our collegiate program at the high school, because the high school is wonderful. We have every opportunity. If you're academic, we've got a class for you. If you're into music, we've got a class or a club, or there's something for everybody in this school. And it's, again, one of the draws. I went to a very, very small school. We didn't even have sports one year. Our budget got voted down.
Wow, yeah.
And so that was one of the things I wanted for my kids too. I wanted them to have every opportunity to explore who they are, what they want to be, what they want to do, learn about themselves. And there has been something for every single one of my kids, to be involved in a positive way. And so, I always say, I bleed maroon now, I do.
It's become home for you.
It totally has become home, and that district is home, and I wouldn't want my kids in any other district, and it was never even a thought that they'd go anywhere but, so.
Yeah, your family wrote a very compelling letter for the support of SROs, which was really nice, and I know I had shared it with the school board and kind of forwarded on, but let's go.
I want to say something about that really quick too. Just, I think some of the community is confused about the difference between an SO and an SRO at the school. So we have safety officers, which, you might be able to be one. We have people who are in the hallways as safety officers, but the SRO is a very specific, very highly trained, extra trained, like peaceful guardian training, those kinds of things. They are a member of the Kingston Police Force, but their beat, so to speak, where they work every day, all day, is at Kingston High School or in the school. So they have extra training. So I think one of the things that my husband had said in that letter was to help differentiate that those SROs are they are there because their community is that school.
Right. They are part of that community. Yeah. And they wear a lot of different hats too. And I know you spoke because you had tragically lost your daughter and in a car accident. And I know that's one of the things you spoke about in your letter is that they were really the people, because they're in the hallways, they were really the ones who were checking in on your kids during that horrible time. And I think, you very eloquently said, not to take away from the social workers or the school counselors, but they're not in the hallways. They're obviously
Correct.
behind closed doors helping other children. So, they can kind of feel the heartbeat of what's going on in the school, and they know the kids. And
that is part of that training, that whole peaceful warrior, all of that stuff is exactly that their beat is the school. They're in the cafeteria, they're in the hallways, and they get to know the kids so that they can tell when something is off with one of the kids.
Right.
And that doesn't even mean that we think they're off in a way that some tragic thing is going to happen. They just they just need to know.
They need to be checked in on and
Correct.
emotionally.
And that, said, it was Officer Harry. It was just like, something's not okay with that Timber kid. And I know that he lost his sister.
Yeah.
And just checking in on him and being able to go, okay, nope, he's not okay.
Okay. Yep.
And then brought him down to where he then got to go see the social worker. The social worker never would have known that he wasn't okay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're all special, all of them. So let's go back to, so I think one of the reasons, I know one of the reasons why Kyla connected the two of us, given the topic, was you had a situation, so you live near the high school.
Yep.
Ward 5.
Ward 5.
Ward 5. So talk to me, I think you kind of had an aha moment that really, I reached out to you and I was like, hey, do you know anybody that, anybody that's interested in running for Ward 5? Because your ward alderman wasn't seeking re-election. You were like, well, actually, me. But I really think that there was a moment, there's an event that I know that I want you to share with the listeners of really what kind of, I think, opened your eyes to what's going on. So do you want to talk about that?
If I can do it without crying again. Why do you want to ask me things that are going to make me teary-eyed? So we've been living in our home. We bought our home back in 95.
Yep.
So that's how long we've been in our home. And out of our 6 kids, 4 of them were brought home from the hospital to this home, and one of them was not even a year old when we moved in. So our older daughter, Amanda, the one who passed away in the car accident, she grew up on this street from elementary school and all the kids on the street. And I just want to set the stage, before I tell you the story, because
the history.
The history, because that's the thing that opened my eyes, was the difference in what's going on. So our daughter, Amanda, was, the old school rule. You come home when the street lights come on. You didn't worry about her. She was allowed to, run around from like the YMCA to the high school. It was kind of like our grid, in that whole area, and the neighborhood kids, and, there was a grandma on every other porch kind of thing, and you didn't worry because everybody knew who Amanda was, and she'd running up the street, and if she was doing, I know your mother, I'm going to go call your father, whatever. So you didn't worry, and come check in when the street lights come on, and never worry. They'd play night games all summer long, till midnight. It didn't bother us because it was safe.
Right.
Kingston was safe. My neighborhood was safe. So now the son that I mentioned before was in the Army. He was home. He was supposed to be away, but he had come home and was sitting outside our home, the home that he's lived in his 25, years. And he had no place to be the next morning. So he decided to sit outside and have a beer. There's nothing wrong with sitting outside your house and having a beer on a summer night. How many of you out there do that, right?
Right.
So he was sitting outside right by his car. Actually, he was on the hood of his car, which is parked in front of our house. And because he was just enjoying the street light, the summer night, whatever. And 2 young people come walking down our street. And he didn't think anything of it because people walk around, whatever. And just sitting there talking to his girlfriend on the phone, listening to music, drinking his beer. And suddenly a gun is pulled on him. Right in his face, he's got a gun pointed at him. And he's like, yo, like, what? He didn't even realize what was happening. This was so out of what should happen.
Right.
In front of your
it's
home.
Probably this very surreal moment of
completely
out-of-body experience.
Absolutely. And so he was being robbed. Okay, take whatever you want, not a problem. He had nothing on him. I'm assuming they were looking for drugs or money or both, and he had neither. Right. He had a White Claw.
Yeah.
He was drinking. That's how cool he is, right? Drinking a White Claw.
Very cool.
So cool. Such a bad ass, right? Yeah. Drinking a White Claw. And I guess they got mad at that, and then they pistol whipped him in the head. He didn't go unconscious because they didn't do a good job of pistol whipping him, but okay, thank you for that. And then they wanted him to open the trunk of his car to see what he had in the trunk of his car. Where in the trunk of his car he had his Army rucksack and his uniform and his boots, because he was actually supposed to be away at drill. But due to COVID, they tested them and then sent them home to wait for results. That's the reason he was even home instead of on base, because they were like, go home until you hear that you're not, negative. And nothing in the trunk but his Army stuff. And I guess at that point, I'm assuming they must have panicked that, oh my God, it's an Army dude,
Yeah, yeah.
And they made him get in the trunk of his car and locked him in the trunk of his car. And this is the part that really triggers me, because he had been pistol whipped in the head.
Yeah.
What if he had gone unconscious in the trunk of it, right? What if he had died from the injury,
Right.
What if he didn't know how to get out, which he did know how to get out. I didn't know that there's a safety latch in trunks of cars.
Right.
He knew that.
It's funny when you told me this story, it's, and I'm going
fine,
to jump in because I know you're getting a little emotional, but yeah, no, I it's good to know that there is. So luckily he did know.
So he got out and he came, and we were asleep. It was about one of them. I think he was outside around midnight having his beer. His brothers were all in the house playing Xbox. My house is the house where all of the boys hang out, because I have 4 boys, and then their friends, and their,
So fun.
everybody was home from college or whatever, and it was
just enjoying the summer.
So there was a crowd, but then I was just woken up from a dead sleep. My husband and I just remember we just sat up in our bed to see 10 young guys at the foot of our bed. Right.
Yeah.
Like, what the, and my son's bleeding from the head and crying, and you don't see your grown boys cry.
Yeah.
Just panicked. I mean,
Yeah.
so the PTSD that he had, that I had, I'm just imagining if my kid died in the car. And
I think as
we
a
don't
mother,
know.
you
Oh my
always,
God.
when I think as a mother, I have this problem. You always think about, you really fixate on what could have happened.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it's really hard to get past that.
It
So I
was.
can't imagine the
No,
trauma.
I mean, trying to even sleep after that for
Yeah.
quite some time. So now locks change, and just everything. We didn't know what was he targeted. What we didn't know, what was going on.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that was what opened my eyes. And then what really got me was it was never in the paper. It was never. And I'm like, how does the community not hear that 2 people were walking around with a gun robbing people?
And I know that during that time, that was last August, there was this 3-week period where there are a lot of things that went unreported. So luckily
I
we
learned
caught
that.
on. Yeah,
Yes.
luckily we caught on, and we've kind of held people accountable for that, because those things we need to know and understand the environment that we live in. And
Yeah.
so we got 5 more minutes before our first guest. I just want to so this was your really kind of motivation to run for. So why don't you talk about what you're running for, who you represent, and
So running for
what political party you don't represent, and all that kind of stuff.
That's the thing. I'm not in a political party. I am not a Democrat or a Republican. I voted Libertarian in the last election. I'm actually proud to say that, because I'm not on the left or the right. But I really think that most people aren't. And I even think people in the Democratic and the Republican parties are much, much closer to center, to each other, than
the crazies on either side.
Correct. And I wrote something. I'm actually going to post it at some point on the Facebook page. But I'm running for Ulster County Legislature, and I had written something back in 2016 during the Hillary and Donald election, where I wanted Gary Johnson. And just kind of describing that phenomena of how loud the far left and the far right are screaming across the fence to each other, and all of us in the middle. I think we're just caught. I think between this, what is going on? And because when you sit down over a cup of coffee with almost anybody, you realize we're not that far apart. The Democrats and the Republicans even were not that far apart. The far right and left are, but most of us aren't there. Most of us are in the middle, and so. I am an unenrolled registered voter who is just a mom and a wife and a teacher who just thought an average person just needs to be in office right now.
Yep.
So I'm really average.
That's really good.
Exactly. So
Good.
that's
Good. So District 6.
District 6, which does encompass wards 3, 5, and 9.
In the city of Kingston.
Yep.
And you have your kickoff fundraiser. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yep, it's on Thursday, August 26th, right, from 6 to 9 at Little Italy. I love to dance, so Turn It Up with Tim Brooke is what I'm calling that one. And Eddie Parker, I think Kingston's and Ulster County's favorite DJ.
Yes, he is.
Will be spinning the tunes for us. And so I just want everybody to come out and meet me and cut a rug, I guess, and dance with me.
6 to 9, right?
6 to 9 at Little Italy.
And you have a Facebook page, right? Is it all the tickets are posted on your Facebook page?
They are. They're also on Eventbrite, and you can look it up on Eventbrite for things that are happening in Kingston, and it's on there. And I want everybody to come. Even if you can't vote for me, then just come dance with me and support.
Yep.
Support the grassroots movement, the cause. Yep.
Yeah.
So tickets are limited, and I think we're getting a little bit, we're getting
close.
Yeah, so go and buy them now and come dance with me.
It's a great way to end the summer, and especially I think we've been kind of lacking on the dance parties because of COVID. So it's a good reason to come out.
Time for a dance party.
Time for a dance party. So $30 a ticket, right?
Yep.
You wanted to make it so that it was
really affordable for everybody.
Yep.
Yes, for all of us average people.
Fare.
Yeah. So light fare, there's going to be some food, like I said, dancing and some food, cash bar. So have at that as you will. But come eat and dance. And Little Italy.
Okay, so Thursday, August 26th, 6 to 9. Yep. And your Facebook page is?
I don't have my phone with me, but you can look me up. Ulster County Legislator. It's Tim Brooke for
Suzanne,
Ulster County Legislator.
Suzanne Tim Brooke for Ulster County Legislator. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Anything else? Anything you want to, and other than safety, anything, any other passion of?
Like on my agenda wise?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, my other thing is just the financial feasibility of staying here. Things have changed a lot, So people like us who have raised our kids and our kids are graduating Kingston High School and looking for what they're going to do with their lives, right now they can't afford to settle down here. Mm-hmm. And the people who are retiring and, you lived here your whole life and you want to stay here, it's getting hard to stay here. So, I'd like to see how we balance the bringing in, it's okay to have people come in. Like I said, change is not a bad thing, but how do we change and grow without, phasing out, pushing people out, who are, lifelong members of here. And so, I want to find the balance. That's really being in the middle. That's what you want to do. I want to find the balance. I want it to be a win-win for everybody. So.
Well, thank you so much. And you're here with me all morning long. On the next half hour, we have John Masurgeon from Central Hudson, one of our underwriters. So he'll be calling in. So I'm getting the cue from Lawrence that we're going to go on break.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM. And also online at mykcr.org.
Central Hudson reminds you that summer thunderstorms can strike with strong, gusty winds, knocking down trees and power lines. If you see a downed power line, call 911 immediately to report it. Power lines can carry an electric current strong enough to cause injury or death. Stay at least 30 feet away from a fallen line. Don't try to move it or anything that has come in contact with it. And never drive over a power line. Remember, your safety matters.
Question: what will you find on all over-the-counter or OTC medicine packages to help you choose the right drug and use it safely? The answer: the Drug Facts label. This label lists the medicine's active ingredients and purpose, how much to take, and warnings you should know before using it. Remember, even OTC medicines you buy without a prescription can cause side effects you don't want. So follow the information listed on the Drug Facts label. For more information, visit fda.gov/Drug Facts label. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Introducing the YMCA. Sure, you know the Y for a swim or a game of hoops, but we're more than that. We're a cause. When you take a jump shot at the Y, someone else is getting job training. Practice yoga as a team practices her leadership skills. We give people of all ages, incomes, and backgrounds a chance to learn, grow, and thrive. So while you might think of the Y as the place for lifting weights, we're also about lifting entire communities. That's the Y. We're so much more. Visit ymca.net/more.
Hi, this is Tony Marmo from Norman Staffing, and we've been bringing together employers and job seekers since 1980. If you're an employer and have job vacancies, let Norman Staffing help fill them with permanent or temporary workers. We screen, interview, and recommend the best candidates for your company. We make the employment process easier and faster for you. Please call Norman Staffing for your employment needs at 338-9111, 338-9111, or normanstaffing.com.
Hi, this is Jim Quigley, supervisor of the town of Ulster, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
Rondout Savings Bank has a long history of serving local communities and maintaining a strong tradition of customer service excellence while providing each customer with the personal attention they deserve. Rondout Savings' approach to community banking puts you and the growth of your business in the front of everything they do. They're a different kind of bank and would like to tell you why, so please reach out to one of their expert business bankers for an appointment and let them show you what they can do for you. Rondout Savings Bank, always working for you and the community with branches in Kingston, West Hurley, and Hyde Park. Also online at rondoutbank.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Okay, you're back.
All right, this is Thunder Thursday. We're back, flashing and booming with Suzanne Timbrook, who's just been talking about her run for legislator. So thanks for stepping up. I know that there's been some people stepping up. I know, especially in light of the public hearing last week, there have been some more people and we'll talk about that in our last half hour. We have Don Mapes is going to be coming on. I know you guys are good friends, so he'll be on, and we'll talk about that. But so we're just waiting for John Masurgeon of Central Hudson to call in. So we're just going to kind of have some filler topics here. One of the things actually that I can't believe, I'm sitting here talking about my bucket list, and we didn't even talk about Cuomo.
Oh gosh.
So that was interesting.
That was interesting. It's still interesting.
It was a relief. It was more than interesting. Thank God. We still got 2 more weeks of the bomb.
Well, that's the thing that's interesting to me is what is that 2-week thing about? Like, why wasn't it just like I resigned?
Probably a transitional period, maybe. I don't,
It's funny.
I mean, to let him linger around like a, I don't know.
It's. The thing I have to say is I agree with you, Lawrence. I've been waiting for this day. It's almost like this surreal moment. I called my mom and we're talking, and that was like the first thing out of her mouth. She, the news had just broken. And, but it's like, sometimes the devil you do know is better than the devil you don't know. So it's kind of one of those things I didn't think it was going to happen. And then when it happened,
you're like, now what?
I'm like, oh no!
I know.
What does the replacement look like? And
anything's better than him.
Yeah.
Listen, she was the absolute most Googled name yesterday, right? Of anything. I was like, who is?
Whose idea do you think it was to do all this defunding of the police, taking away the bail reform?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Forget about the COVID deaths and all the groping, and that is terrible. But New York's in a state of emergency. The whole state. I lost my voice yesterday.
Oh, why? Because of Cuomo? You were getting so worked up?
No, that was Tuesday, wasn't it? No, I'm over that.
No, Wednesday. Today's Thunder Thursday. Yesterday was medical Wednesday or medical Monday.
My point is that, the whole defunding of the police, the bail reform.
The bail reform.
We wouldn't have the crime we have in this whole state.
Absolutely.
If it wasn't for that bail. They wouldn't be out shooting each other. Or
Absolutely.
So, yes, we like to point the blame at somebody. It's legislation in Albany.
It is.
People that voted this stupid thing in and need to turn it around.
Right.
Because until there's bail again, we're not going to solve the crime problem.
Right.
Thank God we're not living in Chicago or have the number of people. Kingston's 23,000, and I know New York City is having it. But, do you even want to go to the city and go shopping?
No.
Right now? No.
I
have a bunch of friends that live, on the Upper West Side and all over, Manhattan, Queens, wherever. I'm not going to visit them. I'm like, you come up here.
Yeah.
I haven't been
I'll pick you up from Poughkeepsie.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out over the next couple of years, because I truly feel New York City for a while will not be the same. And obviously some of it is COVID.
Yeah, I think when de Blasio is gone and Adams comes in, being a former cop, I think there'll be a little bit of a change, but you still need... Albany still needs to sign off on that, and that's why we're having the problem here. You know, Tinty and the mayor are at the, they have to deal with Tinty. You know, the cops can't go out and arrest people because the DAs and the judges don't have their back.
Right.
They're going to let them go unless you murder someone, which is terrible.
Right.
Then they'll keep you in jail.
Right.
But, you know.
No,
It's terrible.
I agree. There's no repercussions, and I know when Brian Aiken of KPD was on our show, he was talking about you're when you arrest somebody and you're booking them and you're kind of having a conversation, it's kind of a loose conversation, and they're literally sitting there laughing, going, I'm going to be out for dinner. It's kind of become a joke, and then on top of that, when the backlog of cases because of COVID.
Yeah.
So not only are they out, but there's not really like a timely trial because, things were. So
not to interrupt you, Val, but I got some bad news. So Tony, who's still, I can make him work even when he's in Myrtle Beach right now because he's the one that
He just sent me a picture from his balcony.
Oh, did he? Okay, well, I don't get pictures. I just get the, anyway, I said, Tony, can you, because he had texted me. He's like, I'm listening to the show. So he's obviously watching us on YouTube or watching you on YouTube. And, he called John Masurgeon and didn't answer.
Uh-oh.
So,
I hope he's okay.
But Kingston Happenings are calling in at 8, and then you got Don Mapes at 8:30, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So you're just going to have to wing it for the next 22 minutes.
All right.
I think you could do it.
We could wait. Cuomo gave us a lot of materials.
So
could.
Well, as a teacher, teachers and Cuomo have a tumultuous relationship for a very long time.
Yeah.
So
he supports unions, though, right? Doesn't he? Or
he is so anti-teacher. He is
is
so
he?
Yeah. His reimagine
Democrats are more
education. He wants to reimagine education. With Bill Gates, he really wants to reimagine it where there's much.
He can reimagine that from his couch now.
Yeah. Much fewer teachers in the classroom, and so
we got a phone call. Maybe it's John.
Oh, maybe. So I was happy. We're happy he's gone even before the grouping and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
All right, you got 5 minutes, Dr. Paul.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, Dr. Paul. This is Val Dwyer and Suzanne Timbrook. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday, and you have just given us the first half hour, probably the best program we've ever had.
Oh.
I mean,
Tony Marmo's listening, so don't hurt his feelings, please.
Well, sorry, Tony, but you can't match this.
Tony might be standing next to Cuomo in the unemployment line.
No, that's not going to happen.
I'm teasing.
Young in heart and spirit lady gave us really the reality of what America is all about and how our most important treasure is our children, and how now they are being put under attack, between the masking, which is depersonalizing the educational experience, the infusion of political garbage, such as the race theory that's being put into the curriculums, is just the biggest outrage. When I grew up in New York City, we had a actually a multi-ethnic community, neighborhoods, and we played with everyone. My greatest heroes growing up as a child was Jackie Robinson and Joe Louis. I knew nothing about, the differentiation of colors or anything. When I went, my father worked 3 jobs to set my brother and I could get to high school, which was a private high school, and then to college. And we worked our way through colleges, all to the degrees, the family had. And then it was then that I encountered people that came from Harlem and came from other areas. And I thought nothing of them. They were just one of our colleagues. They were some of our, students. And I never really ran into racism as being a reality, and it wasn't. It was a question of how some people were set aside. And when they started the Committee Against Racism, I attended the first meeting and saw for the first time in my life fathers and children who came from Harlem and were there, were just arguing and explaining some of the problems that they had encountered. When I went to college, the same thing. And when I went to the universities, the same thing. There was no question of who the students, what ethnic background they came from, made no difference. Then eventually, when I went to a school and worked there, it was one parent came up, and when we got some of our children, and it was mainly a minority population in that particular school, and said, "How dare you put one of those kids into college?" And that just so infuriated me. How dare you make a statement like that, especially after that particular woman, when I wrote her son's recommendation to get into a very, very expensive, good college, the people in the admissions office wrote me a letter saying it was your letter that got him in.
Wow.
I committed myself at that particular point, well, none of my students are ever going to be deprived of that opportunity. Since then, I have multi-ethnic niece. I was adopted by one of my students, and now I am his adopted father. He comes from an Afro-American background. His wife, his daughter is my granddaughter, and now I have a great-granddaughter. I don't think anything in terms of color or, different ethnicity and everything. That is what America is about. That's what our schools were about. We mix, and our kids, when we worked in the schools, as you have, you realize that it is just a wonderful mixture of young people trying to give them a sense of can-do and a sense of we have the value and the good fortune of living in a country where opportunity is there. And if we work hard, we can get to realize the kind of goals that we set in our lives.
Can I jump in? You said something earlier, and you're kind of saying it right now that I want to tag on. So, my husband and I both come from, separately come from poverty, actually, and, I did as well. I remember growing up on my government block of cheese. It makes a really great macaroni and cheese and grilled cheese sandwich. But when my husband and I got together, we had nothing. And I can remember our first apartment together with, we had the milk crates. That was our furniture. And we had a mattress on the floor. And when we saved enough money to buy our very first kitchen table, that was like a monumental, moment there. So cool. And, but then, we kind of decided, he and I, the life that we wanted to have and to give our children. And, I used to work in a law firm around here. I was actually a legal assistant before I became a teacher. So when I went back to college, I went to school with 2 children, got an associate's degree. I had 3, graduated with my bachelor's degree, pregnant with my 4th, taught full time, and got my first master's degree. I have 3 now. My first master's degree, having child number 5 and 6. And when I had to leave my job to go back to school, my husband was like, listen, if we do this part-time, it's going to take forever to get to the goal of, you being a teacher. So, he's a firefighter in the city of Kingston, and he took on a second full-time job to make up for my loss of income so that I could go to school full-time. And so when you were talking about like the hard work and what you do, that is the country we live in, and that's the way we raised our children, and that was our experiences. You get together, you work hard, you help each other out, and you get to where you want to be. And so as a man of color and our children of color, that's the message that he had grown up with as well. I'm going to work hard, and you can be what you want to be. You can have what you want to have. You can get where you want to get. And so that was
and you certainly pass that on to your children, because I just saw how your daughter just bought her first car.
She did. She's going to be she's 16. She's not even 17 later this month, and she bought a car with her own money.
And that's what we need to teach our children.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
They're our greatest treasure. And what we're seeing now, and what we as individuals, as parents, as grandparents, we need to challenge our schools to make sure they don't put this garbage in the curriculum. And we got to start investigating the nonsense, the political nonsense of science, which has invaded our whole culture, our whole society. And with this question of masking our children, we remove their smile, we train them to be in hatefulness and personal color to revile, something which is outrageous, that goes against everything which our nation and our people stand for, but we've allowed this to invade into our culture, into our systems. And we, the people, have the power to stand up. We need the people to challenge our educational school board, to our teachers who love children but are so, harmed by the kind of dictates that have come down from the federal, state, and local government saying that this is what our curriculum, this is what our behavior, et cetera, is going to be in our schools. No.
I want to speak to that too, really.
Educational system which enables and enriches art and gives them the opportunity to meet with and to just socialize, learn social skills, learn the kind of spiritual values which says, yes, I am my neighbor's, love thy neighbor. And this is the kind of thing which schools taught in the past, which is being ripped out of our educational systems, and we got to fight back to get it back in.
So I want to define something, just to make sure everybody is clear, because I know that this is a really hot topic on both sides. So I don't think anybody disagrees that we want culturally relevant education. We want to make sure that all cultures that we have in our country are represented in school. We want to make sure history is taught from all cultures, not just the white, Eurocentric, and I know that's perfectly fine. What the problem comes in is when I'm tagging somebody else's quote, but the bigotry of low expectations, where when we say, oh, you're of color, let's say, and so in order to make things equal, we are going to, maybe give you a diploma when you haven't met the same bar as everybody else is meeting. So when we set lower expectations on our, communities of color, that to me, that is the worst bigotry that we could possibly put on the communities of color. And so my own children who are, who are mixed ethnicity, and they consider themselves, in the community of color, they consider themselves black, that I don't want the critical race theory stuff to come on them in the way where they don't have to meet the same bar as somebody else to get the same diploma or the same outcome. That is actually making things worse for the community of color.
Kind of offensive.
Well, when I was in college at Columbia, I used to substitute teach in the Lower East Side and in Harlem. And I saw the schools at that time where you had tremendous ethnic kind of community. And you had every child from every, background and all were taught the same, and we taught beautifully, that you had to meet the requirements that it was to go through the next class and learning. There was no question, as every student has that option, and that we have to help them get to the point where they can achieve. When John Lindsay came in 1960 and changed the school system in New York City, which is the best in the world, and he said that we'll go to school boards that'll be local rather than having them in terms of school board, which is a centralized person in the city. And what they did, they had the people trained to be administrators, to be principals, and they ran the best schools that ever, probably we've seen in this country. And that all was destroyed because it became politicized. The local school boards were related to the politicians, and then they ran the schools. We have to recapture our schools and say every child has the opportunity to learn. But every child, as we know, learns in a different way at a different time. I had a niece who didn't read anything until she was about 9 years old. After that, she never had a book afterwards, and she won all kinds of honors in high school and now is in college. So it took time to recognize the fact that there are different learning styles, but there are also different learning times, but everyone is entitled to be nurtured to come through and get an attitude of, I can do. And we need to have in our schools, we're going to have kids coming back in. The first thing teachers need to be free to do is just have them socialize. What did you do when you were home? Did you like the distance schooling? Let the students, explain to each other. Then also, one of the things to change is have your honor students in your high schools come into the elementary schools, especially in the lower grades, and coach the students there.
That's a great idea. I like that idea.
When so I was teaching during this whole time, and I was in the building, and I want to tell you a quick story. something else you just said reminded me of something else. So I had most of my kids come back for my 10th grade geometry class. And we're all masked up, and it's terrible. It is. Yeah. I understand. I'm not going to discuss that other than it is terrible that we don't have the facial expressions and all of that. But I had a moment where I actually got done with what we were going to be doing that day, maybe 3 minutes early. And, that's the teachers, kids love that when it's like, oh my gosh, not teaching bell to bell. I mean, I do, but there are times when you're just done and you know what? So I said, you know what, we're done a little bit early. This time is yours. And, historically, when you tell the kids you got 3 minutes, this time is yours, they start talking. They get very animated. They can't wait to chat with their friends. It's that whole social thing going on. And I said that, and every single kid reached down to their bag, took out their cell phone, and buried their face in their phone and didn't say a word. And I was looking around the room for a minute, just watching, and then I said, "Hey guys." And they all stopped and looked at me, and I pointed out to them what they just did. I said, you guys have just spent an entire year behind a screen. Most of that time at home behind a screen. You are in a classroom with your peers, with other human beings, and I just gave you 3 minutes of free time, and the first thing you did was go back behind your screen. But here's the interesting part, and I want everybody to feel encouraged, is that the look on their eye, in their eyes when it was like, oh my God, we did. And almost all of them, I think there was 2 that didn't, put their phones back in their bags and started talking to each other. Right. Yeah. And a few of them, I was so impressed. I was like, oh my God, all is not lost. There was one kid who just started a conversation. He didn't know anybody in the class because he was new. Oh, and he was like, hey, so I'm actually new to school this year, and where are you from, and what do you like they actually had these like normal conversations and what video game do you play, or what it was. And I was like, oh my God, this is beautiful. This is what's been missing for a year. So I think you're right, the teachers need to, and I think we do. I mean, overwhelmingly teachers become teachers because of the kind of people that, we are. Yeah. Is there a bad apple or two? Of course. Is there a bad apple or two in any profession? Yeah. But overwhelmingly, we're great people. We love kids. We love what we do. And we know how to foster those interactions, with kids. And I'm absolutely convinced that 99.9% of the teachers going back this fall are aware of that and are going to be, doing that. Shout out to my teacher friends. We're looking forward to that. We're looking forward to even with the current mask rules that are going to be in place, and I won't debate that issue scientifically. It doesn't matter. What matters is it is what it is, and we're going to have what we have, and we're going to go in with all of the heart that we have for what we do to make those kids or help those kids re-foster that socialization and those skills and have those moments again in the classroom.
I was asked to go to a big city in Virginia and give a speech with one of my college colleagues. I was teaching at a university then. And she introduced us, and I got up, and it was everyone in the school district, some parents, janitors up to the principals and all, members of the board. And I got up and I said, well, I was asked to promise that I would behave myself. And I said, well, sorry, folks, I can't promise that. Did you invite a comfortably crazy person here? I said, no. I went to the audience. I said, what do you teach? First grade, third grade, English, science. I said, well, get on your knees and thank God that I'm not your superintendent. You'd all be fired. And they go, oh! And my partner wanted to kill me. And I said, on second thought, I'm crazy enough that maybe someday I would be your superintendent. Every day that you come to school, you tell yourself, I teach children. I teach children about first grade course, English, math. My focus is on the child, and each child is unique, has potential to do great things, especially to become the best person they can be. That's your job, is to recognize that and help them to recognize that and develop that positive self-concept. And that's what we need to do. We got to force, our government to get the hell out of the way, but we need to encourage parents. you demand that your child be treated as a wonderful, beautiful treasure, and that's the one that teachers have to be free to then engage a child on that level.
Thank you. Dr. Paul, thank you so much for calling in. It was great to hear your voice.
Yeah, it was great for you to fill in. We didn't have a guest either, so it made it actually
worked
perfect.
out well.
Thank,
It was a good conversation as we have a teacher here
electrifying
today.
guest that didn't show up. Okay,
Good.
you have a
Thanks.
great day. Keep up that great work. And
Thanks, Dr. Paul.
Thanks for that first program.
Thanks, Dr. Paul. Have a good one.
You too.
Stay cool.
God, he took away from all our Cuomo time. Now we only got 3 minutes left to rag on Andy. Jeez. So I was just talking, all these texts, all these beeping and that you've been hearing in here.
Yeah, your
me and
phone's going
Tony
crazy.
going back and forth. Apparently, not to throw his flight just got canceled on Sunday
Tony's
to come back
did?
here. Yeah, he apparently he says he flew direct from Stewart to Myrtle Beach, which I didn't know that they actually did. I personally don't fly out of Stewart anymore. I don't actually consider them a real airport. I think, I've never been on a flight that hasn't been canceled or delayed, or there's something going on with that airport.
Yeah.
So I leave out of Albany now and then usually, transfer somewhere else. I go to Fort Lauderdale. Albany doesn't happen to go direct to Fort Lauderdale on Southwest, but so he's leaving Saturday now and driving back 13 hours.
Oh, no.
So that kind of, they've said he's had a good time on
What
vacation.
airline was he on? That's my big question of the day right now. Is I want to know what airline got canceled.
I think he said.
Well, there's only one airline that
texted me and
flies
say,
out
"Stop
of.
telling people my business."
I think Allegiant may be the only one that flies out of Newburgh.
It got canceled last Saturday. Oh, so you knew? Oh, you never even. Oh, he never even flew down there. It was Allegiant Airline.
I think that's actually the only airline that flies out of Stewart now.
Really?
They
So now I
all
used to
pulled
take
out.
JetBlue direct into Fort Lauderdale. They don't go. JetBlue doesn't fly into Stewart anymore.
Yeah.
So I switched to Southwest. It was, first of all, the plane's a lot cleaner. It's relatively, maybe a little bit more, $50 each way, but I have to go through Baltimore, which I don't, before it was direct. I don't really mind that.
Yeah.
It's a 3-hour flight to Florida anyway.
Yeah.
So,
I have to say because I've flown a few times in the last few months, and it's weird, just the aftermath of COVID really has affected every single industry, and the airline industry is not an exception. And I commend, I will say, my story about all those flights being canceled, everybody that I dealt with, whether it be customers or the airport employees, were all very friendly, and because that can get ugly really quickly when.
So I got some good news to report. Your 8:00 guests they're going to make it today. They're on the phone.
Are they early?
We're about to go to break right now.
Okay,
we're going to go to break right now. We don't
first.
have any birthdays today, unfortunately.
No birthdays.
So we will be back with.
I have a friend I want to wish Hope Courts, my mom's best friend, a happy. I'm almost
Why didn't
positive.
you put it in, Val? We could
Today.
have. Jeez, she could have been the winner.
I know.
She could have had a Butterfinger cake.
I could be. It's either her birthday, her husband's birthday, or their anniversary. All three events are within 3 days of each other. So happy birthday, Hope. Happy birthday, Steve. And happy anniversary. Oh no, their anniversary's in December. Never mind. It's birthdays.
All right, we'll be back in a few minutes.
Okay.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Grammer. Wounded Warrior Project supports injured veterans by connecting them with fellow warriors, by serving them through mental health and wellness programs, and by empowering them to live on their own terms. No one should face a battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Jared Mans from the Spring Lake Fire Department, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
All right, we're back. This is Thunder Thursday. This is Val Dwyer. And
Suzanne Timbrook.
No, I said the YouTube's off. Yeah. So we have on the line Kevin Gabi and Veronica Fassbender from Kingston Happenings, one of our underwriters. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you guys doing?
How's it going?
Yeah, we can hear. Yep. So what's new in the world of Kingston Happenings? What's happening?
There's always lots of stuff going on. This summer's been really, really busy with lots of different events and a lot of venues really amping up their game as far as music performances and that sort of stuff. So there's always tons of things to do. Yeah, one of the main events we've got coming up this weekend, though, is the Soapbox Derby. People can remember back a ways. That used to be a huge event, and they've been trying to get that regenerated again. And I don't know if everybody knows what the concept is, but it was originally put on by a couple of artists, and the whole idea was that they would get a bunch of people together that would put together soapbox cars, or whatever you want to call them. They used to call them actually like kinetic objects, like kinetic sculptures was the term they used. And they would run down the lower part of Broadway.
Oh, are you talking about the Soapbox Derby?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Soapbox Derby.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Sorry, you went out a little bit there, so I missed. You may have already said that, and I apologize.
No problem.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. Can you hear us now?
Yeah. Now there was a little spot there where we couldn't hear you, but now we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, Kevin was just giving like an extensive overview of what the Soapbox Derby is.
Good. So that's coming back.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's coming up this weekend. It took a couple years off, I think, right, Kevin?
Well, at least one for sure. But like I said, it used to be a really huge event, and they've been really kind of getting it restarted again. And we'll see how many cars they have this weekend. It should be fun.
That's good.
And it's happening Sunday at 1 p.m. downtown.
Nice. Now, you know what else usually used to happen this time of year, and I don't know if it's happening. I think it was always the end of August, is the Uptown, was it the Chronogram? There was like a weekend where there was always fun vendors in the streets, and it was usually like the third week in August.
Well, the Chronogram did a block party for a couple of years.
That's what it is, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think they've done it the last few years. They did it a few years back, but I don't think they've continued that.
Okay. That's too bad. That was always a fun event.
Mm-hmm.
I missed I mean, I know it's not winter right now, but New Year's Eve, the Uptown New Year's Eve thing.
The Uptown New Year's.
That was a good one. I liked
Yeah. I love when there's events uptown. It's a fun place to walk around. So it looks like the Hooli on the Hudson will be going on, right?
That's what we've seen so far, yep.
Yeah.
Good.
And
That'll be good.
Don't forget about the Italian Festival.
Is that Columbus Day weekend?
Well, we're not 100% sure, but...
I believe that's normally when they have it, though. They usually have it the Sunday of Columbus Day weekend, and that's usually the weekend of O Positive also.
Right.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot about that with the Italian ambassador, Tony, when he comes back.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. What else is going on, guys?
Up in Saugerties, there's a big festival on Saturday, the Hope Rocks Festival, which is a fundraiser for mental health.
Good.
And that's a large organization beyond just Ulster County here, but they'll be having Ian Flanagan there, who's been making the rounds and performing here locally. But he's the guy that from Saugerties who made it to the finals of the Voice on NBC.
Yeah. Oh, good. So that's in Saugerties. Where's that? Cantine?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's at Cantine Field. Yeah.
Oh, good. That's good.
So it sounds like there's a lot of other performers up there also besides him, and it sounds like that'll be a really fun day. There's also on Saturday a block party where they're kicking off the creation of a mural by an artist called Gaia, who's a world-famous muralist, who's going to be putting a mural on the side of the Pecora building, for what's your UARC?
Yeah, I
right.
think the ARC is there.
Right, the ARC. So they're going to have a celebration for that, to kick that event off.
Now, where is that? I know there's a lot of. I was on the ARC board for years, and there's think there's a lot of things named after them. Which building, which location are you talking about?
It's the Pecora building on Cornell Street.
On Cornell Street, right? Okay. And when is that?
That's on Saturday.
Okay. Oh, good. Block party on Saturday on Wall Street.
I think it's Saturday 1 to 5 p.m.
Okay. All right. Good.
Yeah.
What else you
And
guys
there's
got?
more to come.
Yeah.
Saturday evening, the city of Kingston is doing their Music in the Parks and Movies Under the Stars the same day down at T.J. Gallo Park, and they'll be showing Jumanji as the movie. And there's a band called Future 350 New Bassa, which is a local band, and they play Brazilian music.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Good. What sounds like fun. Yeah, that does sound like fun. My kids love that Jumanji movie.
Yes.
Is that the new one they're playing or the old one?
No, I think this is the old school one.
Ah.
Robin Williams.
This whole last year has felt like one big Jumanji game,
Yeah.
hasn't it?
Yes, this year has felt like a big Jumanji movie.
Yeah, I'd like to think I think it's the 90s one, hopefully.
Okay. Also, the Maritime Museum is having one of their ships coming in, the fireboat John J. Harvey, which is coming in sometime Friday, and they're going to start tours Friday afternoon.
That's cool.
That's cool. That's a good
And
event.
it's going to be here all weekend, and the kids get a kick out of that. So nothing like a visiting vessel.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I think the weather's going to be nice this weekend, too,
Yeah.
so that'll be good.
Yeah, it's supposed to cool down a little bit, so that's great. There's also an event for vets. There's an organization locally, Vets to Vets, Hudson Valley, and they do sort of meetups and get-togethers for vets to do hikes. And this Friday, actually, they're going to do a canoe trip, a kayak trip out of Freer Park over in Port Yune.
Oh, that's good.
So if you're a vet and you want to hook up with some other vets, they do that. They're doing that this Friday, but they also do hikes and things, I think, every week, normally later on a Friday.
Do you have the contact info for that, Kevin, if people were interested in that?
It's on the website. I don't have it right in front of me right now.
Okay. Okay, yes, you can find all this information on Kingston Happenings, right?
Right.
And you have a
Kingstonhappenings.org.
KingstonHappenings.org and your Facebook page, right?
Yep.
Good.
And also Instagram. Also, I mean, it's really easy to sign up for our newsletter that we send out twice a week. And we usually have sort of like the highlights of what's going on for the week. Then all the rest of the stuff also is on the website, which is really easy to find, and you can look at things by day and see what's going on. It's a great way to kind of make your plans for the week.
Yeah, so you can so you can sign up for the emails probably by going on your website and just signing up there for notifications?
Yep, there's
Okay.
a little button that says sign up for our newsletter, and click on that. Just put in your email address. We don't we don't spam anybody after that. It's just for the newsletter, and nobody else has access to our mailing list.
Good. What
And
about
while you're
anything?
there, if you have an event on our website, you can always add your community event to our events calendar.
Maybe we'll have to add your kickoff party.
I was thinking that, but I didn't want to say that.
Yeah, no, that's
We welcome all events.
we don't curate our events. Basically,
Okay.
if it's a legitimate event, it gets posted and it gets shown with everything else.
So if somebody did want to post an event with you, how would one go about doing that?
Again, there's a button on the right-hand corner of every page that says "Enter your event."
Okay.
We make it as easy as possible. So you date, time, name of the event. It's always helpful to have an image, if you have a poster or something like that, or if you can create something specifically for the web, you can do that also. and just a quick description of the event and submit it.
Good. Anything going on Hutton Brickyards?
Not that I'm aware of. Are you, Veronica?
No, no events that I know of this weekend, but they have been having some hangout sessions, and there's always a chance to go for dinner. And I think they had an art event last week, but coming up, not that I'm aware of.
Have you been down there?
I was just going to say, I have not been down there yet.
I have not been down there yet either, and it's one of those things I keep forgetting to go. Every time we talk to you guys on the phone, that always comes up, and I always say I'm going to go down there.
It's got to make it happen.
Even if you can't get down to go to eat, it's just nice to walk along the trail that's down there.
Mm-hmm. True.
Yeah, so you don't have to wait for an event. You could just go take a nice stroll.
Yeah.
I like eating, though.
Yeah, I like eating. I like eating, too.
Well, you could take a stroll, then stop back and eat.
Yeah. Or stroll after eating and burn it off.
Yeah. That's a good plan. I've done so much eating over the last few weeks, being away on vacation. I don't know. I feel like
I know the feeling.
I'm looking forward to some home-cooked meals over the next couple of weeks.
I know there comes a point when you just get sick of takeout.
Yeah. That was when we went away. We talked about what we missed the most, and I said a home-cooked meal. I'm done with eating out.
I hate to cook.
Yeah.
So we even had company over the other day, and we have like three other couples. There's four of us that we keep rotating houses and doing dinner, and they all cook really wonderful. And I'm always excited to go have what they cook. When they come to my house, it's from a local restaurant. Like I'll take a tray of that and a tray of that. I don't even try to hide it. It's still in the the aluminum tins.
Yeah.
I'm like, sorry, I just don't like to cook.
It's better getting takeout than faking it.
That's right. And then I get to support the local businesses. That's how
Yes, exactly.
justify it.
Yeah, you just always have to have a firm time when they can come over so they don't see you setting up.
Right.
Yes. That's like in that movie Mrs. Doubtfire when she orders the takeout. He orders the takeout and sets it all up.
Platter, yes.
What else is going on in the area, guys?
Well, there's always we always have on the website a lot of live music events from a number of different venues. Colony up in Woodstock is having music run on a regular basis. Keegan's always has music on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always music going on, and it could be any night of the week. One of the more fun venues, I think we've mentioned on the show before, is the Rail Trail Cafe, which is off of the Wacko Valley Rail Trail just south of Rosendale. And through the weekend, they're doing music, a couple times a day, even sometimes on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it's a great place to listen to some music outside under the trees and get a great wood-fired pizza.
Good. I know that sounds good, doesn't it?
Good. That does.
I might have to throw my rule out about about home cooked meals and go for some pizza. Have you guys
It's a very thin crust
thin crust.
Wood-fired pizza.
That sounds really good. Really, really good.
And there's also always music on Friday nights down at Mariners Harbor.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah. Okay. I'm heading down there tonight before the Boys and Girls boat cruise. So I'll be down to Mariners. What's going on in the way of have you heard much about UPAC? I haven't really. I've been avoiding Broadway because of all the construction. What about some of that stuff? And have you, as we go into the colder weather, are you seeing stuff that's going to happen indoors as far as your advertisers, or is it still a lot of everything is outside?
For the most part, we're still seeing things that are outdoors.
Okay.
In open spaces. UPAC, I just saw they made an announcement that they will be having some events. We don't have them on the site yet, but they are starting to book events, but they'll be taking, pretty strict precautions with them.
Yeah. Hopefully, we can get that up and running. It's such a beautiful venue.
It really is. No, it is.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, especially after they just restored it and actually got air conditioning in there.
Yeah. It's a great place to see a concert because, it's small. So wherever you sit, you can, see. Yeah. Yeah.
It's gorgeous. It is gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, especially after they just restored it and got air conditioning in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. It is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we could just hope for the fall and the winter that, there are measures taken in place and that basically everyone kind of gets with the program and is responsible and lets everyone else enjoy themselves, right?
Yep. What's kind of cool that we're seeing more of this year too is that a lot of the museums are more active in terms of doing tours. The Maritime Museum is doing a number of different kinds of boat tours on their Solaris. They do one tour that they have somebody that talks about the shipwrecks that are down along the Rondout. They do another one where they talk about indigenous people. They do some where they have music on the boat, on the little Solaris boat that they have. And, that's seems like it's getting a lot of attention. Also, the Rear Center has been doing tours of the site of the building that they have there. And if you're familiar with the Rear Center, it's an old bakery that we're converting into a museum. And, they're in construction and part of it, but the storefront is still there. The old bakery part is still there. And so, you can go on a tour there or just go there. They have some open hours there. You can just go for sort of an open house and talk with people about, what used to go on in that building.
That sounds good.
But like I said, we're seeing more and more of that. The city of Kingston has some programs for kids. They've had their Naturalist Passport program going on all summer, where they take the kids different places and talk about different aspects of nature. There's also some organized hikes for adults at different times during the week, and there's a couple of those going on this week. So that's cool stuff. The John Burroughs Sanctuary down in Esopus does a number of things down there also.
Good. Well, it sounds like there's definitely some stuff going on. Hopefully, like I said, it will continue through the fall. Hopefully the weather will cooperate.
Yeah. Last fall was gorgeous. We had a lot of good weather for a long time last fall.
Hopefully the weather will cooperate so we can continue some outdoor stuff through maybe November.
Well, I remember last Thanksgiving that we had Thanksgiving outside at my house.
Did
it was
you?
so gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I think it was.
It was.
It's cool and scary all at the same time with the way things are changing.
Yeah.
Bundle up. The Europeans do it. It's like, they're doing stuff outdoors probably 10 months out of the year at least.
Yeah.
That's true.
But,
some of the restaurants need to put,
the
the restaurants have heating units. Like when we were in Paris in November for our anniversary a couple years ago, we were still eating outside at all of the cafes. And they had hanging up on the awnings were just heating units that were really, really warming. Better than those stand-up ones that you kind of have to be around, the ones that were hanging up. So, I don't know, I feel like our community restaurants need to put more heating above us so we can eat outside probably all year round.
Yeah,
to tell you the truth. But I like being outside better than inside.
Yeah, it is nice.
Even before COVID, I just like the outside.
Yeah, we agree.
Yeah, you can find a lot of the restaurants have done that already. A lot of that they have some heating units. I know, I think Boydson's was the first one in town to, heat their back deck.
Before COVID.
Yeah, before COVID.
I love Boydson's outdoor space in the back. It's so nice back there.
Yeah, it's like a little oasis.
It really is. It really, really is. Now, they've been closed. I don't know if they've reopened.
They reopened a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, they did? Okay, then that must have been literally right after I was there, because I keep checking in, and the last time I checked in was a couple weeks ago, and they were still closed. So that's good. They're open.
I think Thursday through Monday.
Thursday through Sunday.
Yeah, Thursday through Sunday.
Okay, good. Yeah, I think they were having some. I feel like I thought they were having some staffing issues.
Everybody, right? Who is not right now? It's a little crazy. Well, that's good.
Yeah, that's good. So, anything else going on there?
Well, I mean, it's sometimes it's so hard to cover everything that's happening, but we definitely encourage everyone to go onto the website and check out. We have listings of all the events, but we also have it laid out for you in a nice calendar that shows each day of the week, and it has all the events on it, and and if anyone has any kind of community event that they want to add, don't be shy. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Our contact is on the website as well. And if you're not sure if your event belongs, just send us an email, and we'll help you out.
So so we'll add our event.
Yeah,
Right? We'll add our event for August 26th at Little Italy.
Sounds good.
Great.
Yeah, we got a ton of traffic to this site. I mean, we have over 14,000 Facebook followers and almost the same as far as Instagram followers. We get literally thousands and thousands of users each week coming to the site to see things. So everything we do on the site gets lots and lots of eyes on it. And it's free to post an event, so how can you pass up free, advertising for whatever you're doing?
Agreed.
We love doing it. It's one of those things that we wish people would encourage, any organizations they belong to or they're associated with it to make sure that they're getting things on the site. We do a pretty good job now. I think a lot of places know we're here and are using it, but we still every once in a while see things that, somebody should have posted to the event and haven't.
Mm-hmm.
But, just keep encouraging people to do it. And the thing that people can do to support, what we're doing is just like and share the stuff that they see from us.
Right.
When you see a Facebook post, when you see something on Instagram, like it, share it. It gets more circulation that way. If you see an event on the website that you think is interesting and your friends should know about, share it to your own timeline.
Right. Yeah, it gives
all
it
that
more
stuff
traffic.
helps.
More foot
it's
traffic.
so hard. If you talk to anybody that's got a business or plans events or anything, it is so hard to get the word out about what's going on. People's attention spans are pretty short, and there's so many different media channels out there that things get lost in the soup, sort of. But when it comes to events, I mean, we're specifically here for that, and it's always good to kind of have everything in one place, and just keep leveraging it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think I agree. Like the sharing thing, it kind of then keeps coming up in your news feed, and that's definitely a good reminder. I am guilty of forgetting things like that.
Me too. I'm gonna go like them on Instagram now when I give it out to the car. I don't think I follow you on Instagram. Why don't I? I don't know. I think I do on Facebook though.
We don't either, but now you do.
Right.
Yes, now we do.
We'll remedy that today.
You've been absolved.
Yeah, so and the other thing we didn't really talk about, but we also get on the site quite a bit, are events for kids. It's one of the things that we really try to be very proactive about and make sure that anything that goes on about kids is on the site. There are some activities for Draw, which is the arts group that working out of the YMCA, and they have a lot of classes for kids and adults. If you're looking for some art classes, actually they have some there this week because it's the Midtown Art District Celebration of the Arts.
And actually, Draw moved to the new Energy Square building in Midtown, and they have a new space there where they have all their classes.
Thanks for that update, Brian.
Yes.
Hard to keep track of all this stuff.
But yeah, they have a lot of free events still happening up until this weekend for adults too, as Kevin mentioned. But on a daily basis, they have a lot for kids to engage in. And also, you mentioned the City of Kingston events before, the Naturalist Passport events for kids.
Yep.
So kids can't be bored this summer. If they're bored, the parents are not looking in the right place.
Yeah. Are there some other movies under the stars events planned as well? I know you said the Jumanji one. Have you seen any others in the future?
I love those.
I don't think I have them on the site yet, but there are a couple more planned.
Oh, good. That's good. That's such a
They're
fun.
nice.
I love that.
Those.
Yeah. Yeah. I forget where I just was recently visiting. It must have been somewhere on my trip out west, and they were doing movies under the stars, and we had just missed it by a day, and I thought that would have been really fun. Yeah.
Is that still the Kingston Rec Department that puts those on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
We do have a great rec department in Kingston, actually.
Yes. Yeah, we do have a great rec department. Okay, guys, anything else before we head off into the next half hour?
Yes, the last movie in the stars for this season will be August 28th, and it is Raya and the Last Dragon, or Raya and the Last Dragon.
I've never heard of that. And
Damn, I was hoping it was going to be Dirty Dancing. Jeez.
You can make your own pop-up event if you
Yeah, he'll get you. And where's that one being held, Veronica?
They're all at TR Gallo Park.
Oh, they're all at the same place. Okay. Because usually I thought they kind of move them around throughout the city. Okay.
Well, they did in to be fair, yes, you're right. At the beginning, they had one at Lauren Park, and they had one at the Kingston Library. But they've been going strong with TR Gallo Park.
Okay. Good. I remember last year they did. I think this is how they did it with the capers. They took everybody out to Tech City, and I think they showed previous caper shows from their car. I think that's my mother-in-law was saying that's how they did, and I thought that was a really
That's a good idea.
cool thing. Yeah. So, okay, guys, thanks for calling in. It was good to hear your voices, and have a good day, and we will talk to you next month.
Thanks, and nice to meet you, Suzanne.
Thanks, you too.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks.
You too.
So we got a few minutes. Don's actually in the waiting room, waiting patiently.
Okay, are we doing a break before
Yeah,
the
we're gonna do a
8:30?
break.
We're going to go to break, and when we come back, we're going to have Pastor Don Mapes with us in the studio. Looking forward to it.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
There was this one time I went snorkeling in the Caribbean when I was a kid. It really just blew my mind. We saw the most beautiful corals. I remember thinking they were waving at us as they moved with the ocean. And then there were all these amazing fish. I'll never forget it. It completely changed the way I look at the ocean.
Most of us have a memory of being in nature we'll never forget. Let's protect the world's natural places so more memories can be made for generations to come. Visit worldwildlife.org.
Have you ever experienced a wish come true? For a child battling a critical illness, a wish come true can be a turning point. One song, one dance, one game, one adventure, one moment changes everything. Make-A-Wish needs your support to grant the wish of every eligible child. Visit wish.org now to help grant more life-changing wishes. Together, we can transform lives, one wish at a time.
This is the story of Daniel, who was born 2 months early. His lungs weren't ready. His heart wasn't ready. His parents could only hope that one day he would leave the hospital healthy, and they would all live happily ever after. Daniel's is just one of the more than 500,000 stories of babies born prematurely last year. You can help the March of Dimes stop premature birth and bring more babies home healthy. Learn how at marchofdimes.com. Working together for stronger, healthier babies.
Hi, this is Winnie from the Rosendale Seniors, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
All right, welcome back. This is Thunder Thursday. We're flashing and booming, and Tony Marmo is sitting down on the beach in Myrtle Beach, but we've got Suzanne Timbrook, who's doing a great job as my co-host, keeping me afloat. And we're joined by my good friend here, Pastor Don Mapes. He was one of my guests a few months ago, but I actually was a call-in. I had been exposed to somebody who had COVID, so I kind of had to call in and stay home. So I promised you I would get you back in the studio because I missed you in person. So welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I wanted to bring you in. Suzanne and I were able to attend. You had a community event 2 weeks ago, I think it was, on a Saturday afternoon.
31st of July.
Yeah. So where you kind of brought in, I'll let you talk a little bit about it, but really the idea was really kind of uniting the community, bringing the community together with law enforcement and different vendors and just having fun and playing basketball. So talk a little bit about that and some of the vendors and stuff. I know there was like blood pressure checks, I think.
Yes, we had one of the girls that come to my church is she's a doctor the emergency doctor at Kingston Hospital. So she said she would take blood pressure. Then we had the lady from Job Services, Thomasine. Thomasine, I can't say her last name, but
That's
anyway.
okay.
But she was there too, and then they had oral call from the police, sheriff's department as far as Narcan, and giving the children history, the young people of Narcan and all that other stuff, and how that affects. We're living in a time of all this fentanyl and everything else, and it's important that we be aware of what to do in them emergencies and situations. But living in Kingston all these years, like I always say, I never had to experience what is going on now, and we always had a good relationship with the police, and the community, and so it just the Lord put upon my heart that you could bridge this gap. And that's what it was. It was Community Day, and it said that we are better together. Yep. And that's what it is. As a community, we have to understand and see that we are better together. And what a blessed day it was. People had so much fun. Hot dogs, hamburgers.
Those cupcakes. Those cupcakes were good. Who made those cupcakes? Ooh, because they were good.
Everybody still talks about them cupcakes.
I wanna give a shout out to a little boy, Seth, who was, this just stole my heart. So this is actually my son Andrew. He's a friend of my son Andrew, and he was there. He has his little business of making iced tea.
Iced tea, yeah.
And he had the stickers and 2 flavors, and he's 11 years old, and that was really, really cool to see. That was one of my favorites of that day.
It was adorable.
So
I got his mixture with the lemon and
I did too.
it was it was good. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the thing. We in the church we promote entrepreneurship and different things like that, as far as doing what you got to do. But one of the officers, I think he was from the town of Ulster, and he was out there playing basketball with the kids with everything on, gear, all the gear and everything.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
it was a warm day too.
Yes, it was warm. He was sweating, and the chief was there. Berardi, I told him, "You're up next." He said, "No way, no way." But yeah, because that's what it's all about. I truly believe that. Okay, yes, we do have issues with the community and law enforcement, but we have to be intentional about coming together and dealing with these issues, because a lot of them are not really, and so that's what we got to do. We got to dispel all these different narratives and stuff that people got, for the people that lived in Kingston. And, like I said, I lived here all my life, and I love my town, I love my city, and I do whatever I can, to help the city. And this is one of the ways I feel that I could be a help, to bridge this gap, come together, being intentional about it, and, continue to do it, to move forward in this. Because it was a great time. Everybody I've seen, thanked me and said it was a great day.
It was a great day. It was a great day.
We were blessed to have a great day. It wasn't that hot and everything. And people had a great time to, mingle and to, and to do different things. And it was really nice. It was really nice.
So, and so one of the reasons why I brought you on here is I know no pressure, but I know you're talking about you want to do one in the fall.
Yes.
And so have you thought at all about what time frame you might do?
Yes, October 2nd, the first Saturday.
Good.
Yeah,
okay,
so it's not going to be, might be a little chilly, but it won't be that,
That's great.
cold.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it's going to be at Barman Park, where the park by the Boys and Girls Club, which I never knew that was the name.
I didn't know that was
Me either.
When I called it, she said, "Oh, you're talking about Barman Park."
Good.
I said, "Where's that?" So anyway, yeah, and so we're gonna be there, plan to be there, and I already spoke with Kevin O'Connor, who from Rubco owns Metropolitan, so we're going to use the parking lot and all that for parking, and so I just want the community to get involved and come out, volunteer. I'm going to solicit a couple of these pizza shops for pizza and different
Annie Savona,
things.
if you're listening.
And and different things. I want to bring there's this guy in Albany has like the rock wall.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The kids can climb, because the kids in that
Can the
neighborhood
adults climb
never.
too? Can we climb too?
Anybody can, and then I want to use it as a thing where the cops can race the kids up, because we have to interact, and if we don't, come together and see that we are better together, okay, and we're not always going to get along, we're not always going to agree with one another, but we can still treat each other with decency and respect. and deal with the issue. If there is a real issue, let's deal with it.
Right.
So I truly believe that is if we continue to interact and a lot of these young kids get to see how much people really care about them.
Yeah.
They don't care how much you know.
Right.
But they do care how much you care.
It's so true. That is so true.
And once they see that you care about them and, you're interacting with them and, hopefully we can get the police agencies to get their own team together and have like a team, the community against the police team.
That would be fun, like that basketball.
Yeah,
or-
basketball, because
yeah.
there's a court there and everything else, and there's also a field, baseball field.
Oh, good.
So we could have a touch football,
Kickball game would be fun.
Yes.
Either kick, I don't care, whenever anybody
Whatever it
wants
is,
to
yep.
do,
Yeah, that's
or
okay.
even a touch football game,
Yeah.
or something, so they interact, and then they can have a drink together and just talk and just, and the whole
We're all human.
right, and not, but not just for the black community and in Ward 4, but for the whole community.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it's going to take, that the whole community come together and say, yeah, I can do that. I can take. It's going to be from 10 to 2,
Okay.
so somebody could take a block of them 4 hours and just participate in whatever. The more hands, it makes things
Yep.
more better.
Yep.
So that's my heartbeat, and that's what I truly feel that we could do together as a community, to start to change things.
Right.
To bring about that change where we foster a community that, deals with the issues that we had.
Right. And I think it's also important too, like you talk about the basketball and things, and I know this is one of the issues with the SROs is sometimes, unfortunately, there are children that their interaction with police officers has only been, them arresting their parent, or, maybe there was a domestic dispute, or, it was something, negative. And so they have this negative, and at the end of the day, the police officer is just doing their job, right? But I think it's important that, children that they feel comfortable and that they don't feel, because listen, if they're if they're somewhere and they need help and there's an officer standing there and they truly need assistance, you don't want that person, you don't want that child to be afraid of them. So I think having events like this and playing basketball, and it kind of takes the uniform out of the equation, even though they're still wearing it, and makes and lets those children realize that they're people too.
Yes.
Underneath that uniform. It kind of humanizes
Well, that's one of the things, like I was saying, going back to the things that were good in our community. I think I was raised with the police officer is your friend. If you're in trouble, go find the police officer who will help you. And that's been my experience in my life, and that's how my kids were raised, and that's been my kids here in Kingston's experiences. They've been able to actually reach out to, if they needed something, to the officers. And so, yeah, having that relationship and bringing that back, that they are your friend. They're supposed to be your friend, and they're there in times of trouble to help you. They're your helper.
And also they're, I think that it's also important because it shows that they are part of our community.
Yes.
And they're not going anywhere, and
Exactly.
unfortunately there's, small groups that want to push them out and make them feel like they're not part of the community, but that's not this community, and that's not what we stand for. And so I think, and I love the location, because I feel like it's walkable for Ward 4 and for the community that really needs this, because at the end of the day, we all know that these patrols are going to be in neighborhoods where there are the hot spots, and that is a hot spot. So I think to hit that target audience is really, I think the location will be really good, will be walkable, and hopefully being across from the Boys and Girls Club, you'll get a lot of the kids that go there will hopefully come over. Have you spoken to
Dan Whalen? Of
Dan
course,
Whalen?
Dan, that's my man.
Yeah,
Dan,
good.
because he has a heart, because
Yeah,
he
he's
deals
great.
with
Dan's
these
great.
children, all the time. And the fact of it is, we as a community as a whole, got to come together and say, what can I do? Where can I plug in here? Read a book, do something, just go for a ride. It's never, see, with me, it's never a money issue, because I've, found out through the years, money and programs don't work. Relationships work.
Exactly.
When you're relatable, they're relatable, and then their guards come down, because I dealt with it when I was a football coach. I was a football coach for 16 years in the junior football league, and I ran into a lot of young black kids that were angry and had the thing, well, the white guys are holding me. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. You're 8, 9 years old. You haven't experienced nothing.
Yeah.
So for you to get that, with all of it, and even at the council thing, I heard they asked about wiping the mics down. And the lady said, could you wipe the mics down for COVID? Okay, legit thing. And then one of the group said, racists don't carry things. I'm going, wait a minute.
Right.
Where did that come from? So, a lot of this is learned behavior, because if you put babies.
Racists don't carry wipes or something.
Yeah.
Right?
But if you put babies down on the ground, okay, 2 years old toddlers,
Uh-huh.
they're not going after nothing but the toys.
Yeah.
They don't know what color they are. They don't know anything, okay? And to me, it's not a color factor with me, okay? We cannot change our color. We cannot change our culture, but we can change our consciousness, all right, on how we deal with one another, how we see with one another. Because as being a pastor who travels, I've go into these other countries, South Africa, into Jamaica, into Haiti, and to see, humanity at its worst and how the human rights of people, America's a great country, let me tell you. If you don't believe me, get on a plane and fly over.
Yeah.
We have nothing to complain about.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely nothing to complain about. Yeah. So, I mean, truly in my heart, I believe that if we continue, with these outreach things and, the community and the police, and for the police themselves, that it's it's good for them that they see that there is somebody that cares about what they do as their profession, all right? And there ain't, all this, negativity and everything. See, I take it from a different perspective because I have went into the simulator. All right, I have when they had the training.
Now you're talking about the police
With
simulator.
the police, yes, I went
You're
into
a
the
police
police
commissioner.
right? And this was years ago.
Oh, okay.
See, when that thing jumped off in Ferguson with the Michael Brown issue, all right, there was a whole bunch of people on Broadway. I just happened to be walking down, and I heard all these people, and I said, "Wait a minute, why?" It looks like, it seems to me they're promoting an agenda that doesn't have nothing to do with who we are here in Kingston. So I immediately called Modeli Clark, who was the president of the Ministers Alliance, and said, listen, we need to have a conversation with the chief of police and the mayor to make sure and safeguard our community, because what jumped off in Ferguson, we don't want it to jump off here.
Right.
Right? And so that's when the dialogue started with the police department,
Yeah.
And Andrew Zell, man, that's my buddy.
I love Andrew Zell.
Andrew, he was one, he came to the first
He's
two
great.
meetings, and they were, yeah. But he said, I don't care what you do, you're not going to get me upset. So a lot of people don't understand that, I have a relationship with the police department but I foster it. I make it intentional to talk to them.
I want to hear about the simulator. What happened, though?
Oh, yeah, so I went to the simulator. So they let me go, and I had the gun. And all these crazy scenarios that jump off split second.
Right.
And then I was at this one where this lady was at an ATM machine, and a crook came up behind her, and I had the gun, and I'm like this.
Yeah.
So then a van pulls up, and this guy jumps out of the van with the shotgun. So I shoot him, but I'd already released 2 bullets, right?
Yeah. Oh, no.
So at the end of the whole thing, we go over this, and the guy goes, good, you got him. He said, well, you should have just shot him in the head. I go, what? So he says, but, that was good. He said, but when they moved the thing, there was like a hill, and there was kids on the other side. He said, if you had to hit one of the kids, it wouldn't have been that you got the bad guy. It would have been about the kid. So, it made me give a different perspective on how I see them and how I see how this job, even with all the training, sometimes it's split second and things could go wrong.
Right.
Because it's just split second things that just happen, know. So that's why, I want to do what I want to do as far as bridging the gap between the community.
That's your slogan.
I know.
That's your slogan for legislator.
Hey.
But it's a different gap. It's the Republican
Yes.
and Democratic Party.
But it is still
But
the
it
same
is
gap.
same,
It's the
yeah.
gap. It's right.
And I think the whole thing is like, you don't, I think that there's some people in this community that have this idea that you have to pick a side, like you're either on the side of the black community or you're side on the police, and it's just not the case.
Not the case.
You don't have to pick a side.
No,
you can respect and support both.
But the reality of it is, as long as it's always a color thing and not a community thing or a people thing or a humanity thing, okay? Listen, I just happen to be black and Hispanic, okay? Doesn't change anything. You just happen to be who you are, okay?
Right.
But we're still human beings.
Yes.
You love your families, you know?
Yes.
And that's the same thing when I travel. I tell people, you go to these countries, I said, they're human beings, just like they love their families,
Yes.
just like we love our families, and they just want what's best for their families. And to me, Kingston is too small for all that nonsense, okay? All the nonsense and all the divisiveness and all that other stuff that people are promoting. And that's why I'm adamant about, you know what I mean? Yes, I understand the George Floyd thing. Yes, I understand the Breonna Taylor thing. And yes, they are tragedies. But that's not the narrative that we live here in Kingston,
Correct.
New York. We have always dealt with the unpleasantries that we have as a community, and we come together, and those who have the same mind, that's all they want. Let's come together and deal with the issues. It's not a right or wrong issue. Yes, we have the issues. Let's deal with it.
Right.
Let's be adults in the room
And deal with
and let's
it.
deal with it.
And I think the other thing too, it's I think for me the thing that's frustrating is we've had in the past 2 years we've had 6 people that have all lost their lives to gun violence, and all 6 of those people were black, and they weren't killed by police officers. And so when you have this narrative that the police officers are the enemy, it kind of contradicts and goes against trying to fix the solution to make sure that we don't lose more people.
Correct.
Because, so it's really actually putting that community at even more risk if we bring in this narrative and try to kind of go against what part of the solution really needs to be. Because, part of the solution, obviously there's the proactive part. We need to, give these people other opportunities, if they grow up in an environment where there's gangs and there's drugs, and, we need to show them that there are other things that they can do. And, the Boys and Girls Club and things like that, those are the ways that we do those. But at the end of the day, unfortunately, there's always going to be a certain part of the population that the police are going to be needed for. Unfortunately, that's just the way things are. So they have to be a part of the solution. And I think, trying to send this narrative that, they need to be taken out of the solution is really putting everybody at risk. So.
Especially when that narrative is coming from people who are not even from this community.
Right.
The idea of the people coming in from outside to cause, the division is super frustrating.
Right.
Because we are a community that's always been together.
And I think they underestimate this community and how tight this community is.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. I mean, you have to deal with the facts, because the fact is the Kingston police has never shot and killed anybody black.
Right. Or white.
Right.
Or white. Yeah.
I think what I was looking at, Kingston was founded in what? 1652.
16 something, right, yeah.
369 years. They have only fired their weapons 3 times. Right? Once every 125 years. That's a pretty good record, if you ask me.
I agree.
But the thing of it is, like I said, the false narratives, the stuff that people are promoting, it's unfounded and it's unfactual. Let's deal with the facts.
Yep.
Okay? And the fact of it is, thank God we've never had a Parkland. Thank God we never had a Columbine or a Newtontown or anything. But that still doesn't mean that we prepare. I mean, Suzanne stood up and, the other night at the council meeting and spoke about what happened to her son. That's the reality of what we're living in, and we just can't just brush that off as that's the serious reality that we're living in. So, when it came to the vehicle, and me being on the commission, like I said, I would never sign off for anything that would be like a military intimidation type thing into, the black community where I live. I told you, I live in Ward 4. I grew up on Van Buren Street. Bought my first house on Clinton Avenue, and I live on Cedar Street. And right in the middle of the mayhem and everything else that's going on, and people have asked, you need to move. I said, move where? I'm not moving. For what?
Right.
Okay, I'm going to deal with it, and which I do. I have a great relationship with people in Ward 4. Cedar Street, Henry Street, Prospect Street, and whatever. And yes, there's issues that we got to deal with, as the black community. Yes, we do. Okay, and that's something that we're going to have to work on, But to listening to all these other people bring in all these narratives that don't belong here, because we have always interacted together. We've always made it a point, you know what I mean, that this is our community and we have to come together and deal with it. And I'm so, grateful for this new initiative with Advert, because, the things that they said that they're going to implement as far as dealing with the gun violence, mental health is now involved, and that's a good issue, which means that the higher ups are listening to the officers because they are not social workers. They're police officers. And a lot of stuff that the police are dealing with in the city of Kingston is mental health issues. So we have to keep it where it is and listen to the police and listen to the help that they need, because, people forget so easily. There was a mall shooting right here 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So, and the vehicle is going to be able to go in and pull those people out of that situation.
Right.
So the medical people can do their thing, but the police can also be safe and do their thing. Like I said at the Common Council thing, we do all these preventative things. You take out car insurance, health insurance, you take out all these other insurances, you build buildings and put sprinklers and fire extinguishers for what? Just in case something happens.
Right.
So my whole thing with the vehicle is just in case something happens. You don't wait until something happens. It's too late then.
Right. Well, and I was talking to Jim Quigley, and I think, there are things that have happened that there was a situation where there was a man, he had a gun, his wife's in the house, and they're trying to, he's making threats. It was out, I think, in Ruby a couple years ago, and they're trying to get the wife out of the house. And they were trying to get, because our vehicle was down, and they were trying to get either the one that was an hour away or the county one. It was unavailable. And, they literally had police officers that are trying to access the house to get the wife out, and they're hiding behind trees.
Right.
So there are, and, when I spoke to KPD, there was a situation on Van Buren Street, same thing. So it doesn't even have to be like a mass shooting, but anytime you have like somebody that has a gun, if you want to get in there and get the people out, you can't expect, these police officers have families they want to go home to as well. You can't you can't send them out there. It would be like sending them out there without a bulletproof vest. You just don't do it. So I want to say to both of you, because I did watch the public hearing, we keep talking about that. So there was a public hearing, and they did pass the vote on the cameras and the armored vehicle, and that was amazing. I think that's good development. I think, as far as some of the noise that's going on, I think it really kind of set the tone that you can't intimidate, you can't bully. We're going to stick to the facts. We're going to do what we need to do. And I wanted to commend the both of you. I think we were saying, I was saying on the break that, your story really made me cry. It was very emotional. And your story was really like a mic drop, like just so powerful. And you guys were really two of really like kind of the keynote speakers that really sent it home. And I think a lot of that is because you come from interracial families. You've lived here for a very long time, and you live in the community where we're dealing with these issues. So I know it was brave. I know from what I could see and the stories I heard, it was a pretty intense room.
Yeah, it was, but still, you got to deal with reality. And like you said, you can't let people bully and intimidate it. But, my whole thing was you didn't have the facts.
Right.
Okay, it's one thing to holler and scream if you got something to scream about. But if it's unfounded and factual, I don't care what arena you're in.
Right.
You can't use that. You're trying to use a different situation, okay, for here in the city of Kingston. And it's unfounded what you're trying to say or promote, because you got enough angry people in this world, okay?
Yeah.
And all it takes is something like that for people to gravitate to it. Now you got a whole bunch of angry people,
right?
And you don't even know why you're angry,
right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But the ones who were angry and shouting
Misery
the loudest.
loves company. Isn't that the saying? Misery loves
but you
company.
don't,
and they weren't even from here. What are you shouting about in our community? You're not even from here.
Yeah. But like I said, going back to, Kingston and, pushing forward with the interaction between the community and the police, that's the only way that change is going to come. you know, on all areas. But, you know, I'm asking the whole community, come out, be involved. October 2nd, be involved, do your part. And as we continue to go, just continue just to support what we're trying to do to bring, you know, unity between the community and the police, you know, and the police officers. Because like you said, they got families, they want to go home, they want to and they're human beings. You know, all of us, you know, we're all married folks, you know. You know, them arguments we have carry over into our jobs and everything else.
That's true.
So they're human beings too, and that's what we got to look at. You know, and you know, and continue. You know, my thing is always to pray. You know, for them, pray for the mayor, pray for Pat Ryan and all them, because there's times of, you know, politics and everything and everything else, you know, it is a hard time for all of them, and it's not, you know, and people draw from what they see on CNN and NBC and all that, and that's not who they are, you know, so you got to get close to them to see who they are as a people. You know, I'm getting close to them to see who are they people, and they're getting close to me to see who I am. But they only gave us 3 minutes, getting back to 3 minutes, and, you know, we've been trained in Bible college, you know, for 10 minutes, you know, you understand? You know, that was my Bible training.
Yes.
Kick it in. I said 3 minutes, and when she said that, I had to sit there and go, okay. Get all your things
Get
together.
all your thoughts down.
So, but it's great, you know, because I had a lot of feedback about that, and you know, it was all positive. You know what I mean? Because people who live here, you know, Steve Peruso, he was there. He was my buddy since we were 5 years old, going to the boys and.
He's running for alderman. I hope.
And
he gets in.
you know, he was sitting right in front of me, you know, and stuff like that. So, you know, it really makes me feel good that people who know me and know my heart. You know, I'm not running for mayor, okay? I don't want my name up in lights. I just want to live in a community that is peaceful.
I'd vote for you if you ran for mayor. I'd vote for you if you ran for mayor.
I have no political ambitions, never did. But I just want to live in a city that's peaceful, where people can walk down the street. Okay? And my grandkid, he's right down the street. As soon as he sees my car pull in, here he comes. You know, Grandpa's boy. So you know, and I want people just not to be afraid. We should not be prisoners in our own house. We shouldn't be afraid to walk down the street to go get ice cream at Boyce's or something. Right. And people shooting at a car or whatever they're doing.
Just complete nonsense. Yeah. So I want to. We're getting to the. I'm getting the 1 minute finger. I just want to say, you know, like I said, we live in a special community, and I think over the last year we've seen some people step up to the plate, and you know, one of them is, as we spoke about, Suzanne, who's going to run for Ulster County Legislator. I thank you for stepping up to the plate, and I hope to see you on August 26th at her first kickoff party. Eddie Parker's going to be there. We're going to have a dance party.
Okay.
So I hope you'll be there.
No, I'll be there. Like I said, I've known Suzanne a long time. The Tim Brook, her husband.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're the only 2 black families in the Catholic school.
Yes.
So people that run into us, they forgot our names. They look, say, you're either a Mapes or a Tim Brook.
Tim Brook, that's right. And I know you're from St. Mary's. Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, to say that, listen, I have so many friends in this community. You know, I grew up in adverse, you know, Van Buren Street was everybody. It was the melting pot. And I still have them friends, you know. Yeah. You know, the Kozas, the Italian mother, I still call her mom. She's 90.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Well, thank you to you for stepping up as police commissioner, and also for stepping up with these community days, October 2nd. If you're listening and you have any way that you want to contribute, this is a great cause to bring the community, and even if you can't contribute, just show up.
Yeah.
And let's figure this out together. Be well, be safe, be kind. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day.